If you haven't been following us, we have been covering one of the craziest chart patterns I've ever seen repeating right now for XRP. And if this continues to play out, it would suggest XRP is well on its way to repeating its 2017 cycle run and entering price discovery with targets of $10 and above in the coming weeks. If you haven't checked out that last video, no worries, we're here to pick up where we left off and provide updates on how things are playing out. In my previous video, I analyzed XRP's historic price surge from 1 cent to over $3 in 2017. I then compared that 2017 cycle structure to XRP's current price action this cycle. And that's what we're looking at now, which is an overlay of the two cycles and their price action shrunken down to their respective timeframes to correctly match up. I looked for matching patterns, and the similarities I discovered were not only evident, but surprisingly strong. And in our past video, we go much more in depth on the structures and the similarities throughout this entire consolidation of the two cycles. But as you can see, this was followed up by a breakout that sent XRP off the chart from 20 cents to over $3. And nothing is guaranteed to play out in this market or play out the exact same way as it did last time. But since our last post, we can confirm this pattern has only continued to head in the direction it suggests we should be. And coincidentally, right near the breakout zone, we got the SEC filings dropped, which is only adding fuel to the fire that has started given the suppression that this case held upon XRP for years. And given how last cycle structure played out, I'm confident we are in this area of a max pain bear trap and now the recovery phase. And you see this resistance line hold as we make our way up to the breakout zone in 2017. So we now have some expectations we can transfer to this cycle as to what would invalidate this pattern if we begin to close below that similar resistance line in the structure that we have building right now. And in relation to that, I wanted to pick up where we left off and focus on two key points regarding this final breakout stage and the similarities we can see between the two cycles. So you often hear me mentioning finding the equilibrium price point throughout healthy consolidations, because as we extend farther towards the end of a consolidation in any asset, once it's ready to make its move into its next major leg up or its next major break down, which determines the price direction for the longer term time frame, this equilibrium price zone really is that final area of resistance that once you break through and close in the bullish case, you're going to stay above and additionally begin creating higher highs time after time, leading into that blow off top towards the end of the next weekly cycle. So to find that equilibrium price point, we are starting in the 2017 cycle where we saw this run up and we saw this first consolidation phase within the larger consolidation. And the main thing I wanted to highlight here is the first consolidation zone and the process of finding that equilibrium price. Once XRP made its decision to go lower, which really means that the asset needed more time to reset sentiment, shake out weak hands, and build up another set of narratives for the next rally, it's usually this first dramatic move out of this first attempt to find an equilibrium price that is a tell on where the equilibrium price will be throughout the rest of the larger consolidation. And we can see this in this scenario. If we draw a resistance line here, it does in fact get respected throughout the rest of the consolidation. And the wicks of the candles are just noise, and we focus on the closes of the candles. But even when we break above it, it then acts as a support, which is healthy. And in this last phase we are in now, once it broke above it, it was smooth sailing. Alongside this, I want to point out this bear trap, which is very similar to the bear trap we had with the strategic Bitcoin reserve tweet, which was wiped out incredibly fast, similar to this price action. And the last thing I'll mention regarding the 2017 cycle and finding an equilibrium price point in general is it's usually going to be roughly in the middle of the most extreme lows and extreme highs of the consolidation, as equilibrium just means finding a state of balance. So when determining where that equilibrium price point is this cycle, we had a pump fake leading some to believe we were heading higher out of this first smaller consolidation, but then had a massive drop to the downside, which if we use as the same resistance line from 2017, from this area, we can see it too has been very well respected for the remainder of the larger consolidation. And once again, it's almost right in the middle of the extreme lows and extreme highs. You can see we had some more volatile and exaggerated movement compared to the past cycle, but even these moves turned this resistance line into support. And note that it makes aggressive moves when making its way above or back below it, which is very common to see at equilibrium price points. And once again, here is that Trump tweet, which was a bull trap. And that brings us to the present moment where we are facing resistance at this current equilibrium zone. And I believe once we can break out above and close on a daily candle, there are a lot of shorts hiding behind this price zone, and it will likely be a very quick move, continue to the upside, similar to the last cycle. Now, the second point I wanted to touch on in this video is the strength XRP has shown over the past months in comparison to other cryptos and Bitcoin, which suggests smart money is cycling more money into XRP from other assets during this decline, as they likely know what's to come. The last time we were trading at 80K Bitcoin, XRP was at 60 cents. And now we have held around $2 to $3 range, while Bitcoin has dropped down to 80K once again. And this strength is not only holding, but it is building up for another move, which we can see reflected in the XRP dominance chart, XRP ETH chart, and XRP BTC chart. As you can see in the XRP dominance chart, which makes up 5% of the crypto market cap right now, we have been pressing against this resistance zone for a few months now, and that has held since 2020, which has been its own little bear market with the SEC lawsuit. And if we break above this, we have just blue ocean to eat up a lot of market share. And not to mention, on all three of these charts, this one included, and the next two I will show, we have a stochastic weekly RSI ready to cross over and support this move into weeks of strength. And on the XRP BTC pair chart, you can see how strong XRP has been performing relative to Bitcoin. And we are at this key resistance zone on the chart as well, which once we break through, we have so much room to grow and make it back up to where that 2017 cycle faced a lot of resistance. And the last chart is the XRP paired with ETH. ETH has been a terrible performer this cycle, and alongside it, the majority of the altcoin market has plummeted to bear market prices. And I've mentioned this in other videos, but Ethereum went wild in 2021. It was its time to shine. But XRP was suppressed at that time, and it didn't have its cycle quite like Ethereum did. And it looks like the tables again have turned this cycle, which can be explained by the attention economy. And I speculate big money is cycling money from other alts, especially Ethereum, into XRP and the ISO 22 tokens as adoption picks up, especially with the regulatory changes that have occurred. But XRP has been destroying Ethereum, and it's only going to get worse, in my opinion. Once we break above this resistance zone, it's just going to take off. And all of this only makes sense as the narrative seems to be aligning perfectly for XRP. Ripple released its stablecoin, RLUSD, which Congress has been emphasizing. Stablecoins is one of their biggest priorities. Finally, the SEC filings dropped at this time too. And when XRP breaks out, there will be more narratives to support that price action. And although the technicals tell the story and the news is just a way of explaining the price action away, it will be interesting to see what catalysts are to come to launch XRP into that next expansionary phase, whether it's something related to more banking adoption, tax incentives, as Trump has mentioned, further allocation to the strategic reserve stockpile. There are quite a few things on the table, and it will be very interesting to see what that is. And I want to make a separate video regarding XLM, HBAR, and XDC, but this move for XRP is going to mean big things for all of these as well. And later towards the end of this move for XRP, I think a very good trade would be to watch these assets and their XRP pair for a good technical breakout to close profits into XRP, and then cycle into these smaller related assets. But we are talking weeks ahead when XRP enters that parabolic stage. And I noticed 93% of you are not subscribed. So hit that subscribe button for support and to be notified on the latest updates of this pattern playing out. We like to keep it short and sweet. So if you liked what we brought you today, subscribe for more content just like this coming soon. Stay smart and stay patient. Cheers.